Das Vidani, everybody. This is Tom bringing you guys week 11 of the GBA. This week we're facing off against the Utah Jasmine headed by Kooper. Now this is our rematch, and hopefully it's a good one just like the last one. Now if you notice my team structure, you notice we have a new addition, guys. We traded Hydreigon for Staraptor from the LA Nido Kings, owned by Tony Danza, who we play in 2 weeks. And I think it was a great addition. You'll see it right here. I really dig Staraptor. I think it's a faster U-turner, and it's a bird. So actually I go for U-turn here. This is actually a choice banded set with Reckless. This is just in case, because nothing on his team is really like Zapdos. I think is base 100, so this thing can like speed tie with it, but it's choice banded. So if it hit whatever it hits, gonna hit really hard. Now I figured he'd go into Magneton because he led off with Hitmontop, and I figured he'd go for Volt Switch and then he'd go back out into Hitmontop. But this was good because I figured I could just T-Wave whatever. If he went to Zapdos, that would be a beneficial play for him. But if he went to something like Suicune or this, it works out for me. So I switch out and I go into Arcanine. This Arcanine is very defensive, if I recall. It's I think it's max defense. It's just so that it can take things like Stone Edges, like this from a Hitmontop. Now this, I believe, is a Tech Top. I think Kooper usually, or I wouldn't say always, but he usually runs a Tech Top. So I was pretty confident in that. Now it goes into Chansey, and I figured Flare Blitz here was my best play. I think on this I had like E-Speed, Flare Blitz, and Close Combat. And Flare Blitz does a fair amount, more than I expected from a defensive Arcanine. And I got the lucky burn there. I think it's one of the first and only times I've ever gotten a Flare Blitz burn. But it definitely helps because it adds some residual damage to something like Chansey, who's so fat and bulky and hard to take down. So over Close Combat, and I kind of hoped he'd T-Wave here over like the recovery move, but Cooper's a good player, and he goes for the recovery move like he should. And I have lower defense. Now, Chansey doesn't ever really run a move that's not Seismic Toss. So I figured I was kind of okay with staying in here, but on the same token, though, I don't think actually, I might just stay in and go for another Close Combat. I know I should be more prepared for this. I usually am, but it's late, and I kind of want to get this battle up on Monday because this week's been a very weird week in the GBAs, as you guys will see between like matches and when they're being posted, and some have been like postponed but like uploaded later this week. But you'll see. So he goes into defensive Gregor, aka Crocoon, aka we know what this thing does, whatever Suicune does. So I switch out. It's not a beneficial play for me, and it's better for me to go into something that could absorb, like an Ice Beam or a Scald, like he goes for here. And Arcanine is very detrimental for me because I need it to live a lot of physical hits. So he goes for Scald. He knows it's not going to get the job done, but he does know that Chansey can completely wall, or at least do a really good job at walling Starmie. Now I go for Side Shock once, I figured he'd coming in, and then I go for it again. This is an Analytic Starmie, and I get the crit on the second Side Shock. Now, I know it's still hacks, and I know I'm still the Sharpedos, but it's not hacks if you call it, because I called that. I'm sitting down in my living room, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to get this crit, and I got the crit, and I thought it was funny. So, goes to Whimsicott. I know this thing is faster than mostly my entire team. So, I Mega Evolve on Charizard Y, and I figure I could take anything from this Whimsicott, namely like a Moonblast. Moonblast ain't really the biggest thing, but even if he goes for Stun Spore, that's the reason I brought Blissey, and even Kooper said this. I'm one of the first people to bring a Cleric against him, or something that is very is obviously a wall, even with the threat of Gothitelle being around. So he Stun Spores, Prankster Stun Spore, no big deal. And I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna take that for what it is and just absorb it, and I could run with Therapy it off later with Blissey, which I think I do. So I go into Arcanine. Now this thing, I thought can take a T-Bolt, but that's a Scarf T-Bolt from probably an Analytic Magneton. So, you know, whatever. Archon did its job, I think. It kind of allowed me to see what he had on Hitmontop. So he knows that Blissey will eat T-Bolts from that Magneton, and I don't know, I guess he was fearing something or another. But I go for Aromatherapy, like I said, just to ensure that Charizard is not T-Waved anymore, and the only thing that could T-Wave it, being Whimsicott, is gone. So he is in the Hitmontop, and I know for a fact I don't want to stand on them. And I was really hoping he can pick this switch and go for Thief. Because I know he doesn't have Sucker Punch, because that requires like a tutor. I know he can get it, but you know he's more prone to Thief on a Tech Top. So I'm like, oh, please go for Stone Edge, and he does. And even close combat would have been good for me. So I go for Psyshock. It does enough to Zapdos, and I forget if this thing was E-Belt or if it was like Specs or Scarf. I guess I'll find it right here. Oh, okay, so I guess I'm E-Belt. I think it was the Bluff to Scarf, like I usually do. I go for Ice Beam, and he lives on the littlest amount, and I was really hoping he didn't go for Roost here, which I don't think he would have, but I think the idea was just to kill the Starmie, because as we know, Starmie, I love using Starmie. It's a very reliable Pokemon, I guess, on my team at least. So this, I thought for a second, was a bold Zapdos, and this is a Scarfed Kyurem Black. Mainly to outspeed Whimsicott, and you know, get big damage on whatever. So I go and it's not Scarf Kyurem, I think it's a Life Orb Kyurem. I go for Fusion Bolt, knock it out, no problem. That was in case he switched into Suicune, so I can ensure that, you know, I wasn't just going. He wasn't gonna take like no damage from an Ice Beam. So that was a Mach Punch coming in, and I guess I'm kind of glad that he got T-Wave, but on the same token though, it just would have been, you know, I would have got prior damage on me, and you'll see it didn't really matter in this next upcoming turn. But I go for Outrage, just lock myself in Outrage, see how much damage it does, and I notice this is obviously a Scarf Magneton. Goes for Flash Cannon, and I think I was right at the cusp of it getting like a good roll to kill. If I had a little more HP, I could have lived, but you know, no big deal. Again, Kyurem did what I needed to do, got 2 good kills, and it died. And now I think it's just Charizard's turn to just clean up. So, and fun fact is, it was starting to like rain and storm outside here for like 20 minutes, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, please don't fucking DC. I was hoping to God that the internet didn't crap out, because right here I have 1 Pokemon left to take out, and that's a Suicune. I just cooked Magneton with a Flamethrower. Now the only thing I have to worry about here is the Suicune, and I have Solar Beam. Mainly for the Suicune, because I know if it's a bold max defense one, it would have to Calm Mind to live Solar Beams. But as you can see, this is, you know, it's Charizard, did a lot. So he thought, I guess, here, instead of going for Scald or Ice Beam or anything, just to see if maybe my Solar Beams didn't do, like if they did just about half, he could live another one and then, you know, rest up or just do what Crocoons do. But that's not the case. Go for 2 Solar Beams, knock it out, and that's the game. The Sharpedos win, again, another 3-0. I feel like it's very common to either lose 3-0 or win 3-0 or win 1-0. And yeah, so we improved to 8-3. Now, the repercussions of this game is Kooper has unfortunately been knocked out of the playoffs. Now there's a huge disparity between Joe, John, and I, being the Sharpedos, Steelix, and Pelipper's, and the bottom 4 in our division. So, yeah. So I have now locked up a playoff spot, and then depending on the winners of the 2 matches between, you know, for the Steelix and the Pelipper, they can lock up a playoff position as well, because Kooper cannot catch up to 8 wins regardless of what happens. So it was a good game, Kooper. You know, what can I say, man? I will say Kooper is one of my favorite additions to the GBA. Great guy, great mind, and probably one of the most aware people in regards to his team and what can take, you know, and calcs and everything. So his description will be his link will be in the description as always. And yeah, next week we take on John, and his team is stupid scary. I hate Terrakion, but I'll prep as I usually do, and I'll see how well I can do. I hope I have a good game plan, which I think I do. And yeah, I'll see you guys then. But in the meantime, I'll be putting up a Wi-Fi battle in between that, and this. So yeah, look forward to that, and goodbye.